We are back, and we are joined once again by Jeet Heer, national affairs correspondent for The Nation, host of the weekly Nation podcast, The Time of Monsters. Jeet, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, it's always great to be on.
Always fun to have you on, and it's especially important because it's the Tim Pool Day. That's not that important, but it's a fun day.
No. But I in my household, it's called the Clash of the Titans. Ali versus Foreman, Part 2. It's a pretty epic, and
that's a little generous for Tim. I mean, really?
A little generous.
Titan?
Okay. Maybe it's more Ali versus the bum of the month. And having said, it's unfortunate Sam is not here because I had wanted to use the line from Lord of the Rings, which is, "It's good to be with you, Sam, here at the end of all things."
Jeet, you did use that appropriately because I'm a nerd, and I almost teared up at that line from Lord of the Rings because I cry at that movie all the time, but that's not.
Yeah, it is. It's a very touching line. Yes.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. So we are here at possibly the end of all things, or possibly the penultimate delayed election that will prevent the end of all things for 4 more years.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shall we cast the ring into the fire? This is becoming unbearable. I guess let's just start here. What are your biggest concerns right now? Because I think we share concern. I've overall been kind of getting into some debates with folks about this being the closest election in history. And some of the doomerism that I don't necessarily think matches the enthusiasm metrics that we're seeing for the Democrats. But Michigan is scary.
Yeah. No, I should say, in general, I'm pretty optimistic. I actually don't think the closeness of the election in the polling is partially based on herding. And there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic that it's not 2016. One of which is, if you just look at the enthusiasm of Democrats, it's way higher than in 2016. And conversely, the enthusiasm of Republicans is much lower. And to me, that's the main thing. But having said that, there are reasons to worry. And I want to return later, why I'm basically optimistic. But my main worry right now is that there are these undecided voters, and the main issue for undecided voters is the war in Gaza. And according to a New York Times poll, and the campaigns are taking 2 very different approaches. I just want to quote a politician, and let me ask you who you think said this. This is criticizing Biden, said, they pursued the pathway that maximizes Palestinian casualties. They say they are pro-Israel. They pursued a pathway that prolonged the war as long as possible, which is bad for Israel. Who do you think said that?
J.D. Vance.
That's J.D. Vance, yes, that's exactly right. And Trump as well has also kept on saying, I just want to wrap it up. I want to end the war in the Middle East. He's actually sent out little feelers saying, if he's elected, his message to Netanyahu will be, just wrap this up before I'm inaugurated. And that's kind of worrisome. And it's not, obviously, I don't think listeners on this show need to be told that this is deeply cynical on the part of the Trump campaign, that they're not really anti-war. But I think the larger issue is that they see being anti-war as politically advantageous, and more importantly, the Democrats have ceded this ground to them. Because just as Vance is saying, Vance basically said, that the Biden administration has maximized Palestinian casualties, that this is bad. Conversely, what have the Democrats offered? They've sent to Michigan 2 figures, Richie Torres, one of the most strident pro-Israel voices in American politics, and Bill Clinton. And Bill Clinton, when he went there, did the sort of sister soldier thing where he basically attacked people who are pro-Palestine by saying, this is Hamas did this. They forced Israel to do all this. And also, and this is, I think, remarkable and something new that one has not heard from Bill Clinton before. He said that Israel was there before Hamas, and it goes back to King David and Judea and Samaria. And I want to be clear about this. Like, if you're talking about Judea and Samaria, you're not talking even in the language of liberal Zionism. You're talking like a settler. This is the language of Rabbi Meir Kahan and his followers, who believe that God has given a grant of this land, and that includes not just Israel now, but much of Lebanon and Syria and Jordan and Egypt, and that they're there to reclaim it. And Bill Clinton, one of the main surrogates of the Harris campaign, is using that language.
Well, here's my question for you, Jeet. Is it a sister soldier moment? Because that was a way for him to basically triangulate and he was doing that for electoral gain, this kind of brutal, racist political rhetoric. For this...
Yeah, no, maybe sister soldiers. Yeah, no, I think you're right, but continue, yeah.
But I mean, this is considered a conspiracy theory, but I think there's a lot of evidence about it. Like, how much does Mossad have on frickin' Bill Clinton via Jeffrey Epstein? I'm not even joking. Joking. And there's got to be a way, a moment where, like, this guy's been in a Washington creature who we know has had racist views, where it's almost like the way you read about how kings talk about foreign lands that they colonize. Like, there's a mythology that comes with being in power where you almost mystify it. And he speaks about it like a settler because, he's religious, and that makes sense. But it's also a way for people, these powerful figures, to almost put themselves in this romanticized historical context.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot going on there with Clinton. I mean, is he really religious? If I were Bill Clinton, I were religious, I would be very worried about the afterlife.
Well, he would not be the first religious person to be a hypocrite, but I mean, at least that was coming from the South. He and Hillary were always talking about the religion.
It's possible. I mean, it's hard to know what he's doing. I mean, and I would say certainly he and Hillary Clinton, I think it's important to emphasize they're actually to the right of where they were when Bill Clinton was president. Like, when he was trying to negotiate the Oslo Accord, as flawed as that was, and as favoring Israel as that was, he did not use the language of King David.
Right.
So this is something new. I almost think, and combined with the Richie Torres thing, I actually think that maybe the strategy here is to show that they don't need the Muslim vote. They don't need the Arab vote. That they have enough of these, Cheney Republicans on board, and that they can, change their coalition and they can totally disregard. I mean, that's my cynical interpretation. But you are right that, these political figures, they like to believe their own mythology. And really, honestly, I would say Bill Clinton is talking about Israel and Palestine the way Putin talks about Ukraine.
Yeah.
But
Zionists, so did Biden. I mean, Biden talks about Israel, Palestine in these incredibly romanticized ways too. Like, these folks have been baking in AIPAC and Zionist propaganda for their entire political careers. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, at some point you do start to believe your own propaganda.
Yeah.
Having said that, I mean, it's hard to know. What degree this is cynicism, or if it is political calculation, it seems to be very flawed. Like, I actually think, if you actually look at all the polling, I mean, it really shows where the Democratic coalition is and where the wavering voters are. And I think that in this case, I mean, it's clear that the Trump campaign has a better reading of the polls and is acting more in accordance with what the politically smart thing to do is.
On this issue,
yes. And so for me, that, I mean, this anti-war turn is, where I'm worried. But I mean, to go back, I mean, to, walk listeners off the ledge at this point, you and I think basically share the same analysis, which is that right now Harris is being underrated. That I think she has. I'd rather be Harris than Trump, and it's for a variety of reasons. One of which is I think she has more swing states that she's close to, and it's an easier
Well, let me
pathway.
read this latest Marist poll that came out this morning. So she's +2 in Pennsylvania with likely voters, +2 in Wisconsin, +3 in Michigan, and she now leads Trump by 15 with independents. Marist in early September had Trump up by 4 with independents. Harris is +15 with independents in less than 2 months.
Yeah, no, I think that's all to the right. And I think Harris's campaign, leaving aside the Israel-Gaza stuff, is closing strong, and she has a very sort of confident message.
Hey folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.